Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan podcast. On today's show, a Korean air flight drops 27,000 feet mid-flight. A female pilot worked for 2 airlines at the same time. American Airlines halts pilot hiring for 2024. A woman sues American Airlines over harassment. Some Lufthansa RTA news, more American news, activist news, FAA investigations, and a special report on pilot training. Hi, Paul.
How's it, Kaz? Episode 193 today.
Is it? Yeah, 193.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for the big 200?
Get hammered.
Like we did for 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, no plans as of yet, though, but maybe we'll come up with something. I think we did something for number 100 was quite nice when we asked the avid listeners to send us those voice notes.
Yeah.
That was quite cool. Maybe we keep that as a tradition.
Yeah. We could look at doing something like that.
Might be calling on you guys to send us a voice note over the coming weeks. But let's jump into it. Big news because it's seriously making the headlines. A Korean air flight, which happens to be a 737 MAX, with 125 passengers, returned to Incheon Airport. 13 passengers were hospitalized after it plummeted enormous amount of altitude. But then the article kind of ends by saying the aircraft had a pressurization problem. So it was the articles are all geared to this MAX plummeting out the sky again. But it looks like it could be, maybe a door blew out or something. I don't know. It's a Boeing, so you never know. But it doesn't look like, the original issue.
Yeah. Nothing as dramatic as what the headline's trying to make it sound.
An MCAS story.
You know, some of these stories, I mean, the way they say that a Korean air flight drops 26,900 feet mid-flight, it's like, that's a very specific number. Like, why not just say it lost like 27,000 feet?
Look, it's quite a serious one. 15 passengers, hyperventilation and or very bad ear pain. You're going to get that if you fall out the sky by that amount of altitude.
Yeah.
But there's no other information on it. So what I'm saying is we can't necessarily narrow this thing down to a MAX just yet. But everything we've read of late over the past few years has kind of pushed us towards that thinking, I suppose. Oh, here we go again, another MAX problem.
Yeah. Well, let's wait and see on that. The next story is quite ballsy. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
Where a female pilot secretly worked for both Virgin Atlantic and KM Malta Airlines from between December and May. So
she was clapping it for both companies.
The side hustle to the max, eh?
Yeah.
I just, I saw that thread on, I think it was on Fly Africa, and it's just, everyone was asking the same question. How the hell do you negotiate a roster like that? Eh?
Yes, I mean, I can't even think that the added money would be worth it. You know how difficult it is to manage your own roster with one airline.
Yeah.
And now you're working around 2 airlines. But she made it work. And as you say, taking the side hustle to a complete new level.
Yeah. Look, I'm all about having a side hustle. Go for it. I mean, you got to keep a plan B in place. But yes,
she got caught. I think they actually caught her. But don't you work for us? Type of deal.
Yeah. Well, like, you've been called out in standby, so I'm off sick and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems pretty crazy in this day and age, and obviously with all the FDP, and so she must have broken some serious laws, and I assume it'll end up becoming a criminal case.
Yeah.
When you sign on for duty, you're signing on for a lot of things, and if you've been lying for that period of time, or more than 6 months, or 6 months, you probably gonna get yourself in some hot water.
You really got to love flying to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next one, American Airlines halts pilot hiring for 2024. They're joining Delta and United. So they stated this pause is due to aircraft delivery delays from Boeing and a need to adjust the capacity. American hired a record number of pilots in 2023, but will hire 1,000 fewer this year. I put in brackets there, so I remember to say it's either a fake virus or a manufacturer screwing the pooch for pilots because you can't win.
No.
Here you are in this period where the pilots are in serious demand. I mean, the previous story accounts for that, 2 jobs at once. And now it's not a virus, it's not the economy, it's not September 11, it's not a war. It's the fact that Boeing are not producing enough airplanes.
Yeah. Well, they probably would like to be producing enough airplanes, but they have their issues, and it does have a roll-on effect. So,
and the main story of today is not going to help Boeing's issues either.
No.
And a woman sues American Airlines over harassment. This is due to the fact that the flight attendants failed to protect her from a sexual predator during a flight from Dallas to Chicago. Despite being harassed and assaulted, attendants did not intervene. Filed a complaint. American Airlines has declined to comment on the pending litigation. Always wonder about these stories. You think on an aircraft being the way an aircraft is, this very small, intimate tube with a lot of other passengers in there.
Yeah.
If there was a sexual predator on the flight and that guy was intimidating or trying to grope a female passenger, in South Africa, I don't think that guy would have gotten too far.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
And I think I battle to quite understand that one.
Yeah, I fail to see that no one would intervene on an instance
I'm not
like
sticking
that.
up for the sexual predator. I'm saying that the passengers, I'm sure, would have got involved if they saw something happening there.
Yeah, exactly. But like you say, in our part of the world,
That ain't going to happen.
Oak's going to catch up with
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's this one on Alaska Airlines?
This was last week. There was a tentative agreement with the Association of Flight Attendants after intense negotiations in Washington, overseen by the mediators. The deal includes boarding, pay raises, and S&T increases. It's all got to do with they chopped a whole lot of, I wouldn't call them perks, but boarding pay has got to do with the time before and after a flight. I think that's what they were referring to, because so much time is used. I mean, there's the briefing, there's that whole area before, but a lot of these low-cost airlines, it's just the period that you actually fly. And the argument, I believe, has something to do with can we not get a more honest view of the amount of work that actually goes into a flying day?
Yeah.
You and I had a bit of a chat yesterday. We were talking about flying and the things we miss and the things we certainly don't miss. And the one thing that I don't miss was you could have the quickest little flight from A to B, maybe an hour hop. And that little hour hop could turn into an all-day plus an all-night affair very, very quickly.
Yeah, we saw that from time to time.
And I think that they have a point here to say, well, it's not just the time flying. Flying takes up a huge amount of time. Mm-hmm. It was on the news. I think it was actually on CNN the other day. They were speaking to someone, and the argument is, well, you can go and get another job. I mean, you can, like this pilot did have 2 jobs, but they were saying you can work in a restaurant, and the woman was like, no, you can't, because this job takes a hell of a lot of time.
Takes a hell of a lot of time. And look, how are you supposed to try and plan around having another job or a side hustle when you have a pretty erratic schedule in flying as it is? Not that easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Talking of side hustles, do you want to take the next story there?
Yeah, so this one, a 60-year-old American woman was arrested by Australian police for attempting to smuggle 2 kilograms of methamphetamines hidden in vacuum-packed clothing in Adelaide. The Australian Border Force discovered the drugs during a baggage inspection, and she's been charged with importing a commercial quantity of border-controlled drug. She now faces life imprisonment if convicted.
If you're going to do that, do not do it in Australia.
Not a fuck. No.
You're going to get caught and you're going to get the key thrown away.
If you haven't by now seen those documentaries
Border
on the
police.
Australian border police, I mean, those take their jobs to the next level.
Yeah. EU likely to approve Lufthansa RTA deal. This RTA has been a bit of a disaster. So Lufthansa are jumping in. They're going to approve that deal. Apparently, it's only got to do with the sort of regional side of things, not the transatlantic business, which they'll keep separate. More on our activists from the Just Keep Pumping Oil were arrested for for spraying 2 jets with orange paint at Stansted. The group shared a video on social media demanding an emergency treaty to end fossil fuels by 2030.
Yeah.
So they did catch them, and they did, we'll see what comes of that, if anything. I doubt anything will. And then this one was an FAA investigation on the 18th of June, including it was a Southwest flight 737-800 en route from Vegas to Oklahoma. The flight received a low altitude alert near Will Rogers Airport, descending to 525 feet above Oklahoma City suburbs. The pilots executed a go-round, landed safely. Southwest Airlines is cooperating with the FAA. What could have caused that?
2 things.
It's not a MAX, eh?
Not a MAX.
It just descended.
Yeah.
Finger trouble?
No, I was probably say it'd probably be the FO flying past this chick's house on final approach. Or a technical glitch of some sort. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I was hoping that there'll be some gen on that before today's show, but maybe report on that tomorrow or the next day.
How's this for a wacky story with this 24-year-old man who's been detained at Delhi's RGI airport on the 18th of June for impersonating a 67-year-old. So he attempted to board an Air Canada flight to Canada and was caught due to his youthful appearance despite his disguise of white hair and glasses. What the fuck are you trying to do?
Well, I suppose he gets a serious discount being a senior citizen.
Or potential upgrade.
Potential upgrade. So he had the correct documentation, fake ID and all the rest. Claimed senior citizen, probably got early boarding. And
it's a bit of a reach. A 24-year-old trying to disguise himself as a 67-year-old.
Yeah.
Shit.
Eh?
Guy's getting creative.
Yeah. This next one, I thought maybe we can throw it out there. This all to do with airlines identify special airports needing additional pilot training and briefing due to challenging conditions. Airports such as London City, Aspen, they may have low-time pilot restrictions or require captain-only approaches. Airlines provide documentation and mentorship for pilots focusing on unique procedures, seasonal weather, and ATC expectations. Training includes simulator modules and real-time mentorship by experienced pilots. So I'll just throw that one in there as a bit of a discussion. A couple of guys have been to us for training at, what's the Austrian airport?
Innsbruck.
Mm. So that's a somewhat difficult airport, and it kind of makes sense that you go through this training. And I'm just throwing it to the guys there to see the major airlines, what sort of difficult airports and what's considered a difficult airport.
I'm glad you asked that. That's an interesting topic because I know for a fact that it's Emirates that, and I'm sure a lot of other airlines do as well, even regard Johannesburg as a difficult airport. Remember, we hot and high here in our summertime, 5,500 feet elevation. So that in itself presents a big challenge for these heavies.
Well, this is why I brought it up, because I thought maybe, it might get the people to comment there. Just let us know. Have you been to any of these airports? Does the sim training help? And particularly the big airlines, what airports are, like the Cathay guys, where are they flying that's particularly difficult? You mentioned Emirates.
Yeah.
And I mean, locally here, we used to fly into Mthatha. It wasn't exactly the...
Yeah, I know. Mthatha was no picnic.
Yeah.
Quite a challenging airfield to go into. And you got to have your finger far removed, particularly when the weather's bad. And, I think it's a good thing that the airlines throw special emphasis on training at difficult airports, because it's, flying it can be somewhat challenging and difficult on a normal day, but throw some abnormalities in the mix, and it really tests your mettle, so it's important.
Yeah, so let us know with that one. And to go technical here at the end, 2010 LCAA report highlights pilot disorientation during go-rounds and low visibility. Airbus's soft go-around technology, SGA technology, addresses these issues, optimizing thrust to prevent spatial disorientation and reduce G-forces. SGA, standard on Airbus A330neo, A350 and A380 models, enhances safety, situational awareness, and reduces pilot workload, contributing to a safer flight experience. I read that article. I didn't know something like SGA existed. And having been in the training environment, I think that actually makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Totally does.
And it's obviously a clever way. And again, throwing it out there if the guys want to shoot us a message on, this is like standard how it works and why it's a good idea, then please, or why it's a bad idea, please let us know, because I think that'll interest a lot of people.
I'll be totally honest, this is the first I heard of it as well. I never ever heard of soft go-around technology. It does make sense. I mean, if you think about, again, coming into Johannesburg and you have to execute a go-around, not necessarily from, at 200 feet.
Well, didn't that happen with an Emirates 777
something
about
like
10 years ago or something?
Yeah. You just start your approach and then you initiate a go-around from 200, 300 feet below your missed approach altitude. You don't need to be throwing full thrust at the at the formula there. So it's quite cool.
Clever idea, I thought. Cool show today, Paul. As you said, 193. We're getting close to that 200, and we actually came up with some stats yesterday. Ryan and I are quite proud of this. We've done more episodes this year than we did in the entire 2023.
Yeah, we don't know how that happened. To be honest, we were like, is that for real?
It's legit, because if you work it out, we're doing, we've done a few episodes a week for quite a few weeks, and we actually haven't had a break.
No.
We're not planning to, not saying we're going to, but something that we're sort of quite proud of and enjoying. We know that everyone's enjoying the extra frequency, which you can expect more of. But quite amazing. And it shows if you can just push that consistency a little bit more, you just you get this compound interest on your episodes. So
that's really cool.
Kind of proud of it.
Another interesting stat that you did voice out, and we might as well talk about it if you're okay with that now. But you said that we were number 3 in the UK. Yeah. I thought that was quite a cool stat.
Yeah, I was actually going to post it, but I thought we'll save it for when we're number 1. But we ended up number 3 aviation podcast in the UK, which that's pretty cool. So anyone that's listening to us in the UK, thank you for that, because there were some big podcasts there.
Yeah,
that we were ahead
Chris
of.
Williams and all that.
Fortunately, they're not in the aviation sector. But aviation podcasts, there's a bit of competition now. There's a lot of good podcasts out there. So to be in the mix there in a place like the UK is pretty cool. Consistently, we're hitting number 1 in Mauritius, Kenya, quite a few countries in Africa. So thank you everyone, and just to end off by saying thank you to our Patreon supporters. We simply could not do this without you guys and girls.
Thanks so much. Take it easy, and
we'll be back later in the week.
100%.
Bye for now.